Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please continue to pray for my art career by leaving a dislike on this video. This is my latest favorite pattern to paint. What it boils down to is a mathematical property that if you take the reciprocals of all of the squares, right? 1 over 1 squared, 1 over 2 squared, right? 1 over 4, 1 over 3 squared, and you add them all together as you approach infinity, the squares add up to a finite number. It's pi squared over 6, by the way. Euler proved that over 300 years ago. And the idea is, can you fit those squares together in a tight way to fit into a rectangle that's 1 by pi squared over 6? And that's an unsolved problem, actually. It seems like you could. So this one goes all the way up to 30 or so. So you got 1 over 1 squared plus 1 over 2 squared, all the way up to 1 over 30 squared. And you could potentially fit even more, although the squares get smaller and smaller as you go on. I've also tried doing this with foil paper, cutting it out, but it's not as easy as it sounds because you need to measure it very, very, very accurately as the squares get smaller and smaller. What I find really funny is ever since I'm doing Mondrian art like this, I've become very OCD about measurements. Like I teach at a community college, and I find that when I draw on the board, I almost want to reach for a ruler just to make sure that all my figures are actually to scale, and I've become very OCD about that. Uh, I have a I have a funny story about OCDs about measurements. Early on in the pandemic, I was at a park in downtown Kirkland. I used to live in Seattle. One day I had gone there, and this guy had taken out a measuring tape and pulled out 6 feet. And as he was walking around the park, he swung it at people and say, "You're too close." And so I never realized I would ever be OCD about measurements like that until I began my art career. But I'm recording this on November 10. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I feel very hurt because I don't have a whole lot of friends. I've been relying heavily, heavily on my job for emotional support. I know it sounds kind of funny, but I haven't been making a lot of friends here in the Phoenix area, and it's gotten to the point where it literally causes physical pain, like a chronic chest pain almost, especially when things are too relaxed, right? I'm not going to feel this chest pain when I'm in the middle of a lecture, right? I'm not going to feel it when I'm talking to one of my students at my office hours, right? Just a couple days ago, I was grilling a student about a bunch of careless mistakes that he had made on a calculus exam. I teach calculus, and he knows calculus inside and out. But throughout the exam, he would make careless mistakes like misreading a problem or forgetting to various steps in the calculus process, right? And I was showing him because he knows that those are mistakes. He gets too excited or whatever the situation is, and I was showing him all the disasters that mistakes like that could cause. Um, my favorite ones to show disasters caused by math mix-ups like that. My favorite examples are the Gimli glider and the Mars climate observer. Now showing him footage of the news of that time and how embarrassing it must be for the people involved in that, right? And see, I'm not going to feel chest pain when I'm in the middle of something like that, but when I'm alone at night, sleeping, when I'm by myself, driving is another big one that causes that because I don't have too much to take my mind off of how lonely I am. And it really goes to show that even though I love my job, I just recorded a video about this. Even though I love my job doesn't always love me back, right? And it's very hurtful every time we come up to a holiday. And the winter holiday days are especially tricky for two reasons. Number one, it's a holiday, there's no work to do. And number two, there's often a lot of uncertain. I teach at a community college. During the Christmas, not Christmas, but during the Thanksgiving holidays, there's still a lot of uncertainty about what's to come during the spring semester, whether or not I'm going to get a contract there, what class I'm going to be teaching, the logistics of it. And there's a lot of uncertainty. Am I going to get all the classes that I signed up for and have too much on my plate? Right, that's also a possibility these days. And so not only am I dealing with the loneliness of Thanksgiving itself, but also the compounding that is the uncertainty of come January. That's a really tough time. That's the kind of time where I churn out a ton of art because I got to take my mind off of that. Right. That's going to be really challenging for me. I've been, I hate to admit this, but I've been misusing a lot of things as a result of my loneliness. Obviously, I've been binging on my art projects, which in its own right is sometimes less than healthy. But I've been using a lot of caffeine, a lot of binge eating, and a lot of lithium that I take. I take lithium orotate. I I'm only supposed to be taking 20 milligrams of lithium orotate a day, but oftentimes I'm taking more like 100. And so I've been misusing a lot of things as of late. Sometimes I also take some pseudoephedrine to help keep the pain at bay, right? But it's less than healthy. Let's put it that way. And I hope to have better connections so that I can stop doing that. I can stop doing that. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.